Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. I'm ready to go for today's episode. I got my black on black 10X hat. I got my Who's Got My Money t-shirt on. I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? Okay. I'm your host. My name is David Bradley, training facilitator and coach with Grant Cardone. Here's what's happening. I'm bringing you weekly sales solutions, sales tips, strategies, and a couple attitude adjustments thrown in for good measure, straight from the 10X world of Grant Cardone. Check it out. 80% of what we do here, 100% free. So, the purpose of the podcast is to make sure that the free stuff we're putting down, you're picking up, and then you're plugging it into your sales, your business, and your life. So thank you so much in advance for hitting that subscribe button. And if you're getting some value from it, do me a favor. Push this out into cyberspace for me. Make sure other people can hear it too. Make sure other people are getting some value from it as well. If it's helping you, I promise you, someone else is going to benefit from it as well. So share that stuff out there. And today's episode is going to get juicy, going to get interesting, going to be mighty, mighty fun. But before we do that, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, shall we? Today's episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast is brought to you by the 10X Growth Conference coming up in March. The 10X Growth Conference, if you don't know anything about it, number one, that's our fault, not yours. But if you don't, this program was created for forward thinkers, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, business owners, and anyone else who seeks to define the marketplace today and tomorrow. In just a few years, the 10X Growth Conference has literally become the world's largest business training event for sales and marketing. You want to 10X your income? You want to 10X your business? You want to 10X your life? Make sure you're there. So for dates, times, tickets, how to participate, head on over to cardonesolutions.com/10X GrowthCon. That's cardonesolutions.com/10X GrowthCon. cardonesolutions.com/10X GrowthCon. See you there. Now, on with the show. On with the show. How? Here's the question for you. How do you face your fear? Your fear. How do I face mine? Well, let's really let's get into fear today. What does it mean? Fear. F.E.A.R. What does it mean to you? How do you face it? Everyone feels it. I do. You do. Grant does. Everyone. The only difference here is how each and every one of us react to fear. What do we do with it? So in Grant's latest blog post, he tells us that he's always thought that fear had two different meanings. And these two meanings, literally, they sum up the two different ways that folks like you and I, people, are going to deal with fear. It's unique. It's complicated, but it's a state. It's a state of beingness. But what do you do with it? So there's two things fear can mean. Forget everything and run, F.E.A.R., forget everything and run, or it could mean face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. Now notice, the letter, it stands for everything in both. So you can forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. So, as you know, if you've been listening to the podcast for any given period of time, I throw in action ideas. I'm not just going to recite the blog to you. I'm not just going to break it down for you. I'm going to give you something to do with it. So here's your first one. We've done both, haven't we? I mean, be honest with yourself. I mean, the podcast, it's for me, but it's about you. There have been times in your life where you have stepped up, faced it head on, and there's been some times where you forgot everything and you skinned out. So I want you to take a moment, and I'd like you to think about a time where you faced everything and you rose to the occasion. And then I'd like you to think about another time where you forgot everything and you ran. What was the difference? If you can isolate the difference, then you can duplicate whatever it was that was going on for you that allowed you to face everything and rise. And then you can also know what it was that caused you to forget everything and run, so you can start working on not doing that. So the real key, or keys, if you will, the keys to overcoming fear and not letting it control you. First one is that it's not caring about what people think of you. It's not wanting to impress anyone but yourself. And it's about having nothing to prove to anyone but you. A little ego dichotomy there, right? First, the only person you should be trying to impress is yourself. The only person you should be trying to prove anything to is you. But it's about being better than you were. That's true nobility, not being better than somebody else, but being better than you were. It's sort of a modified Wayne Dyer quote right there. But when you refuse to let fear control you, and again, we've done both. I've controlled fear, fear's controlled me. Same has happened for you. When you refuse to let fear control you, it then becomes possible to do what you want as you pursue your passions, your desires, your goals. So think about your passions and your desires and your goals. How are you allowing fear to keep you from them? And Grant's felt fear in all forms. He talks about it in the blog. I think we all have to some degree. But imagine being afraid for your life as you're being pistol whipped by some drug-dealing thug. So, right, you and I, though, that was Grant. That was his reality. Meanwhile, you and I, what are we afraid of? Because I've never been in that position. What are you afraid of right now? That you're going to fail? That we're not good enough? That we'll look stupid? That people are going to laugh at us? Grant's been there and done that. I've been there and done that. So what? Because, Grant pushed through. People really aren't laughing at him anymore. So, what would your life be like if you never gave in to fear? Would you like to be, or what would you be like? Would you like to be the kind of person, and what would you like to be as a person where fear doesn't have control over you? Doesn't mean you don't experience it. It's not going to control you. I'm not trying to discount fear. Like, fear is hardwired. It serves a purpose, right? 25,000 years ago or more, when there is a giant saber-toothed tiger coming at you. Okay? Let's be scared. That makes a ton of sense. Gives me some ideas, some things to do. Fear, though, should not merely exist to just motivate you to run away. This is where the whole fight-flight thing comes in. Fight or flight both involve fear. Let's modernize the analogy a little bit. Think about a UFC fighter. I love mixed martial arts. You don't think these guys are scared as Bruce Buffer's announcing their name in the blue corner, weighing in at 175 pounds? Right? You don't think you're starting to get a little scared? Here's the point I want to make with that. Yeah, that was a long, awkward silence. So I want you to think about being scared for a second. Because those guys, they wind up fighting. They meet in the middle, and they get after it. One person wins, another person doesn't. One person learns. One person wins, another person learns. Fight or flight, this is what's important. They're both motivated by fear, which implies something. The fight or the flight is a choice. And that's what makes us human. So here's your next action idea. What if you make the choice to fight every single time. Why? Well, because you can, for starters. Because right now, what is the worst that could happen? I'd like you to think back to those times we were talking about earlier where you forgot everything and you ran. I don't want to spend any time in regret. Grant says, the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason. Keep your attention on the future, on where you're going. Your past, though, is data. Nothing more, nothing less. It is information. So I'd like you to think back to a time where you forgot everything and ran. Take a moment and think about what your life would have been or what would be like now had you faced everything and risen instead. Which leads me to the next question, would be what can your life be like moving forward into the future if you make the decision to fight every single time? They say at the end of your life, you will be more concerned with what you didn't do. And as I approach 50, I'm going to live to 120, by the way. As I approach 50, I'm 2 years out from that. I start thinking about, I'll have my midlife crisis in my 60s. I start thinking about the things I didn't do. So here's good news. When you fail, you learn and you get to try again. If someone says no, this is about sales, business, and life. If someone says no, you can keep asking until they say yes. Grant wants you to know that it is possible to conquer your fear. It is possible to conquer your fear so you can do what you love. You can make a massive impact on this planet while having control over your income and your life. That is all possible. Would you like Grant and our team to show you how? That's what we do here. Obviously, last year, 2020, caused a lot of people a whole bunch of uncertainty and definitely a lot of fear. 2020, for the most part, was motivated strictly by fear. And the media didn't help at all with that. But for the people who didn't give in to fear, like Grant and our 10X team, instead of running away or pushing the panic button, we created opportunities. And we actually succeeded. We absolutely crushed it in 2020. So know this, even in a time of fear, even when fear is everywhere, it is possible to succeed. I've seen it firsthand. Now, earlier I mentioned 10X GrowthCon. We will show you how to do this at that event, which is now sold out, by the way. So you can go online. Maybe you can get on a wait list if you need to. But if you're going to do this, and how you use us, whether that's coming to GrowthCon, joining us at a boot camp, hooking up on Cardone University, going through our coaching program, cardonesolutions.com/coaching. However you do it, you need to know this going into it. We are going to push you out of your comfort zone. We want to show you how to achieve goals that you never thought possible. Would you like to finally realize that you actually are capable of so much more than you're doing right now? When Grant has that revelation that he's capable of doing more than what he's doing right now, none of us have even a remote excuse for not. Fear doesn't have to be the thing that holds you back. In fact, it's not. You are. So if the thought of starting something new or unknown, if it scares you, that's fine. It scares me too. You have doubts that you really can't do this after all? That's fine. I have them too. You worried about failure? That's fine. I'm worried about failure all the time. Good. Good. Being scared is perfectly acceptable. But letting that feeling, it's just a feeling. It's not a command. It's not an order. It's just a feeling. Letting that keep you from achieving your potential, that's not okay. And if you look at the greats, they were all scared too. But they used fear instead of getting used by it. So wherever you're at in the world, whatever experience you have in this life, whoever you are, however old you are, coming to an event like the 10X Growth Conference can elevate you professionally, financially. That's happening either way. You show up, you'll find a way to make more money. But what's it going to do for you? Your confidence. Okay? Confidence, it's the most important thing you can have. Once you have it, you never want to lose it. It's literally the light that eliminates the darkness of fear. And the cool thing is that confidence multiplies on its own with every single accomplishment. So how do you face your fear? We all have to make a decision. We're going to let fear win, or are we going to say, nope, enough, that's it. Enough playing for peanuts, enough settling for average, enough living just to please other people, enough allowing fear to determine the entire course of my life. Enough! Instead, give yourself permission to be the 10X badass that you are meant to be. Come join Grant. Come join me. Come join the entire 10X crew at the Growth Conference. If you can make it in person, if you can get on the wait list, great. If not, be there virtually. Be there virtually. You can be, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can be at this event. And you will see that not only is there safety in numbers, there is success in numbers. And you, me, all of us, have nothing to fear. All right, let's do a checkout on you. What'd you get out of that, right? Did you learn something new today? What are you going to start operating from moving forward? Are you going to start in that place of forgetting everything and running? You're just going to stay in that level, or are you going to face everything and rise? Which one are you going to do? What about this? What did you know about fear before today's episode? Think about that. What do you want to know about it now moving forward? What do you still not know that you need to get a handle on? What'd you learn today? But more importantly, how will you use it? And when you implement what you've learned today, what kind of results are you looking to achieve? How are you going to use what you got today to move you closer to your goal? What will you need to do in order to make that happen? And who will you need to beat in order to make that happen? Okay? Thank you so much for listening. Always appreciate you being here. If you want to come join us at the Growth Conference, it's cardonesolutions.com/10xgrowthcon. That's cardonesolutions.com/10xgrowthcon. One more time for good measure. cardonesolutions.com/10xgrowthcon. I'm going to leave with the words of Grant Cardone. You know what's coming. Be great. Because nothing else pays. All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.